Hello, fellow Minecrafters. Gearsaw Studios here. Today, I'm going to show you how to build Santa's workshop. Because, sure, it is a little bit after the season, but it's something to remember it by. However, before I begin, remember, please like and subscribe. It really helps me out. So, with that, onto the tutorial. For this builds palette, we are going to be using mainly brown and red concrete because I want it to look kind of like a gingerbread house. Then we're going to use some smooth quartz to be some icing, dark oak stripped logs, and birch planks just for some good wood in the build. And we're going to use soil for the foundation. Along with that, the roof works really well with layers of snow. So, an example of what it could look like is that gingerbread house over there. You see how I use all those blocks? We're going to do something similar to that in this video. So, use an area that's semi-flat and just look around. Is it flat enough? Is it big enough? If yes, then you can continue building. Now, with your flat area, you should place down your soil to create the foundation. So, make the corners of where you want it to be, and just fill it in. However, since I'm in creative mode and you might be or might not be, I can use slash fill. So if you guys want to do slash fill instead, do your slash fill, then do this, and then just press enter, because there's a neat shortcut using slash fill. Now that I have that incomplete command, I just press the up arrow on my keyboard or up arrow on D-pads, and now you have that command and some of the coordinates. Then you just press tab or just fill in the numbers you see for the other half. Then you do soil. And now a foundation has been built very quickly using slash fill. So fill in your foundation and start by creating some sort of semi-cube around it, so that way we can start with the framing. Now that we have this neat little foundation, we need to calculate where the middle is. So this only has to be on one side because of the entrance. So use a highly visible block that can be counted, sea lanterns, concrete, whatever. And we have figured out the middle of the build. So we can make our entrance here. So what we want to do is get our logs and our planks. And start by making a little piece of land here. But don't forget, it's going to be sunken in as I always do. So just do some stripped logs like this around here, and we can add some neat dark oak doors, because dark oak doors is often the best doors in anything. So now that we have doors, remove your counter blocks and fill in this entire area of the foundation with dark oak stripped logs and have birch planks like this across the entire floor. So we have this area ready to begin building, but of course it's going to be really annoying to build if we can't even get in. So what we should do is we should make an entrance. So we already have the doors in. So we should start by placing down the stairs so that way we can get in. And like this, now you have something going, and you can fill in the rest with some smooth quartz stairs because it looks a lot like frosting, which is why most gingerbread builds should include it, because it has stairs and slabs. So, as you're doing this, fill in the rest of the area with soil. So, if your staircase is very small, you'll never see it, but if it's big enough, it will make a huge difference in the build. Now that we have this entrance in, you might want to correct anything that looks kind of like this, where you can see the dirt under it, by just adding more grass and then adding snow on top of it. And you might want to fix any holes near there, because you might as well fix everything while you're still working on stuff like this. So now that that's out of the way, we should start by placing down some concrete gumdrops. So start placing concrete like this, and you can decorate it a little. You can do this, or you could just have slabs in between. You can have multiple colors, but try experimenting and see what you can do with it. So these gumdrops are going to become multicolored in the next clip, but as you can see, I did stair, concrete, stair, and upside down stair, which is pretty good if your foundation is the equal level all the way across. So, if you built your foundation exactly like I did, you can do this. Otherwise, just experiment with things you can do, because with these little gumdrops, you can do a lot, especially with the stairs and slabs. So, make them multicolored, and then we'll work on this part right here. Now with this elegant foundation, it's time to finish the walls. So we have a basic thing here, but it's just some logs, and that won't suffice for actual walls. So you should divide up the walls into about 5 or 6 segments that are all equally sized. So you're going to have to do some trial and error to see what works best for your shape of build. So you could change the size of your build to make it work, but it's up to you. So try to divide up your thing into equally sized portions. As you can see, I've gotten lucky. So I just have to repeat this and make the logs go relatively high up till where you want the roof to start. Now with some support beams on the sides, we should do them in the middle parts, or just the part where it's not as long. So the center is the door, or if you just have one door, your life might be a little bit easier doing this. But those of you who have 2 doors should try to divide them up, but it might not be perfect, because the thing is, there's those doors, and there just might not be enough room to divide it up equally. So, if worst case scenario you just can't do that, you can just have unequal segments, and it won't impact the build that much. In fact, it might even look better. So do that, and then fill the walls in with brown concrete. No windows yet, just brown concrete as a way for us to get started. Now, before we finish these walls by adding windows and such, I think we should do the roof, because once we have the roof in, we can decide whether these walls need details. So, what we should do is start by placing a block on either side, then place stairs, and you might want to flatten out with a little slab here, which I do not have one on me, so I have to grab one. And now that we have that, you could raise it a block. So raise it by a block if you think it doesn't look good. And what you should do is you should just progressively go across this build. And you might have to keep raising it, because try not to remove any of the walls. So raise it as much as you need, and progressively just make a curve. With the beginnings of the roof in, we should start by making it taller so that way we can curve it. So this place will kind of look like a barn. So what we should do is just start by trying to figure out a stair arrangement that will work. So trial and error is of course necessary. So just figure out things until you can extend it to be taller. And not everything's going to be perfect, because this is Minecraft, the game that is all squares. So you're going to have to do quite a bit of stuff in order to try to make it work. So just do random things and see if it works. Worst case scenario, you just have to make it look like half a hexagon. Now, I've gotten this curve, and it was different than what I was imagining, but remember, it is Minecraft, so if you can't get it right, it's not too bad. This is the block game, not the circle game. So, what we should do is we should connect them up. So, like this, just use some good old dark oak planks and connect them right across the top. And then you should line the sides with some stairs. So, with this row nearing finishing, and now it's finished, what we should do is use the stairs and just kind of line it like this. Then, after that, we are going to be using a lot of top snow to decorate the roof. So, you'll probably need Silk Touch if you're doing this in survival. So, just like this, have some blocks here, and make sure that it's okay to see from the outside. So, don't use dirt, maybe use dark oak planks or brown concrete. But either way, we need something to fill this in with. Now, that we have some filler blocks and it won't obstruct my roof design, what we're going to do is we're going to place a ton of top snow blocks. So just start spamming snow like this. However, you might notice something. And that's a lot of top snow. So you can replace some of it with just snowballs if it's on an incline. So that way you can save yourself some snow digging. And it's just faster to do it in general. So I recommend doing that if you have a steep incline. So just bridge across like this and make sure that you have your filler blocks that make up the walls here placed in so that way you know where the roof is going to go. So I've started doing the top snow, in which auto clickers really help while making the texturing. So you can add snow beams like this because they won't be seen. However, on the ends, keep it as brown concrete or your block of choice. But here, you don't have to do as much snowing because you can see that there's brown concrete here and no one's going to see the snow here. So it will really help when you do it. So continue making snow. So I've properly added snow to the roofs and it looks really good because all the snow makes it look like it's been pretty chilly out, which it has been where I live. So now that we have the snowy roof, we can finally work on the interior, which is remarkably dark. So we're going to have to place some temporary torches, but these might stay. I recommend not using lanterns at this part because I'm not too sure if this will happen, but it could melt some of the snow through the roof. So just be careful about that. So place your torches around and potentially add multicolored windows with various colors of stained glass. Now we have some cute little windows because the lack of natural light really killed the build. But now that we have some windows, it really goes to show that this exterior is kind of bland, so we need to do something about it. Potentially adding concrete, more glass, there's many things you can do. So I'm going to try adding some gumdrops, and you should try coming up with your own ideas to try to make it a little less bland. So it was very difficult to add gumdrops, but I have added it in some places and just added more smooth quartz in other places. So it does make a pretty good decoration and a little less bland of a build. So what we should do now is work on the interior. So I recommend getting out some dark oak items. So get some dark oak stairs and preferably your birch. So what we want to do is make tables because elves can't just magically fabricate stuff using their minds. They're going to have to assemble them. So make some tables around. Now we have 4 tables built up. And of course, we want to add some presents in the process of being built or already completed. So since it's within one day of Christmas, so between Christmas Eve and the 26th, you can have chests that look like wrapped presents, which is very neat. You can even create green ones by placing 2 next to each other. So, if you're playing around Christmas time, I recommend doing this. However, this only works on Java Edition. So if you can't do that, you can use some wool, and don't forget your glow item frames for things still being made. Also, shulker boxes are an expensive but also viable solution to this. Now, we have some kinda cool looking tables with all the things on them. However, since the elves also need resources to work, we need to create a resource collection area. So, start by just placing down some stairs, and then you can place down a log or two, so that way there's defined corners to it. And once you finish placing down the stairs, fill it up with various items that you think might be used in making toys. So, good examples would just be wood, white wool to fill in stuff like teddy bears, dried kelp blocks, because although that's not really something to use, unless you really like kelp, then it just kind of looks like a supply package, which is still good. Redstone torches, because redstone might get some bad ideas, such as activating TNT if you feel like you need to add that. and iron, because metals needed to create some things. Now, with a pile of what seems to be junk but has some serious hidden potential, we need to make some conveyor belts, because it will be a massive waste of time to carry everything over to the sleigh or wherever they're stored. So, what we should do is we should start by placing down some base of it, like some red concrete, and just go up a little. So, use these logs, go up, hit connect the bottom, and use some smooth quartz stairs, so that way it seems like they can fit into the little ridges, so that way they can be moved across. Once you've reached your desired Y level, then make some more red concrete and make it connect up how you want. So, something like this, and then you can connect them all together with these stairs. So, you might have to do a little bit of experimenting, but it will look very cool as all the things just kind of go together. Now that we have some palette changes and a complete conveyor belt, add some random items onto it like you have on these tables, but make sure it looks like a complete product. So don't just put an item frame with a stick, instead put wool shulker boxes or chests, and just periodically spread them out. So now that they're kind of spread out like this, try to create some sort of exit for them, so that way it can be unloaded into the sleigh at max efficiency. So you might have to do some unique things to the wall, but the best thing you should do is make some sort of pipe that goes outside and has a little chute that can go down. Now I've created a neat little pipe, and I had to replace some of the decorations and the roof, so that way I could fit it. But it works, and I recommend adding a trap door, or create a pile of gifts at the bottom, so that way it makes sense. And make sure to fill up the pipe with presents if there is a trap door, so that way it gives the illusion of something going into there. So, now that the actual gift production is done, we need to create an area that Santa can read everything. So, we're going to dedicate this roof part to a nice room. Since we have this snowy roof right here, we need to do something to cover it up. So, adding some nice dark oak stripped logs and creating an area for Santa or anyone else to walk is a viable solution. So it doesn't have to be completely exclusive, so that way we can actually enter here using a ladder here or there, but preferably keep as much snow not visible as possible. Then make the walkway lined with a block that you particularly like. I'm going to choose birch planks for this. Then make a ladder so that way you can get up here. Now that we have this ladder right here, we can now safely access the top portion. So, we still need to do some work to make sure that none of the snow is showing. So, one thing you need to do is just create another spruce line like this, because it will cover it up while not looking too awkward. Then, you'll probably want to place some dark oak wood planks on top, so something like this. And once you're done with that, you should line the walls with looms. So bookshelves are another option, but make most of the walls except for Santa's desk, which will be right here, lined with looms. So although barrels or bookshelves may seem like the logical choice, these textures look like little drawers. And remember, with all those letters he's going to be receiving for gifts, you have to store them somewhere, so backwards looms are the way to go. So I've done some decoration down here, so that way it looks suitable and all the snow is covered up. And it looks absolutely gorgeous. So make sure to put in some effort on the underside of this, because it'll really make the build better. Now up here, it is pretty dark, so grab your lanterns and scatter them about, so that way you can actually see up here, because especially when it's night, it's going to be a little hard to see up here, and that's not good for sorting through envelopes. So down at this end, I purposefully left out the looms, because we're going to just do a little bit of a division here, And we're going to add some bookshelves because after sorting through envelopes all day, or you're just a confused elf, you're going to need some books in order to keep yourself entertained or learn how to do new things. So, place down your bookshelves, and then you should create a desk. So, what you should do for a desk, it's very simple. Just have some upside down stairs, and just do something like this. Potentially add an ending, which might be a little hard for some of you, and add a chair. And remember, put in a lot of effort for your chair, since this is the guy who supplies the entire world with gifts on Christmas. So, use trapdoors and banners to make it look good. Now, we have a decent desk with an item frame with a cookie and a chair. So, what you can do is you can equip a Santa skin, sit in the chair, as in stand in it, and you can eat cookies. So, I wouldn't say that's too bad. So, I recommend adding this part to the build too. Now, with that fancy chair, it's time to just look at the build since it's done. We have a decent foundation made out of soul soil, which looks like chocolate, a lot of smooth quartz, and various concrete colors to make gumdrops, a chute so that way Santa's sleigh can be filled up, which happens to be right there, powered by very real reindeers, trademarked. And it's just a very nice build with the snow layers, and we can't forget about the interior, which is really nice, utilizing the Christmas textures of Christmas Eve through the 26th. So, overall, I'd say this is a really good build that I recommend building, so that way it's a Christmas to be remembered. So, with that, it's the end of today's video. If you enjoyed this video, remember, please like and subscribe. It really helps me out. So, with that, take care, have a Merry Christmas. Gearsaw out.